Okay, I'm live. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the first, hi, Lacey. Welcome to the first episode of my brand new podcast. I'm very excited. I am very excited for what is to come in 2026. This is like a little soft launch. So, this is me over here on Substack live for the first time, trying to figure it out, trying to make sure that I know what I'm doing before I welcome on any guests. So far so good. It looks good. Let me know if it's glitchy at any point in time. Let me know how the audio is. Substack has this really great feature where you can link to Substacks. So, like, when I have my guests on, my Substack will be shown and their Substack will be shown. And so I figure it's a really great way for us to grow despite the algorithm, which Substack in general is great for that anyway, because it's not very algorithmically driven. But this is me over here just figuring it out. We're going to talk. I have some questions that I'm going to answer. I'll do a little Q&A. We're going to drink some tea. We're going to talk about this tea. We're going to talk a little bit about Sagittarius. And then we're going to talk about the guests that will be coming in the new year. So this one, like I said, is just me here shooting the shit, figuring it out. And then starting in 2 weeks on the full moon, we will start to welcome guests. The first one being Amanda, the birth of you. She is known on the internet, the interweb. She's an amazing astrologer who I adore so much. She practices a really deep form of evolutionary astrology. And then she also is a birth worker and a mother. And so I thought it would be perfect for the Cancer moon. All of the guests that I will be having on, the conversations that I will be having on the new and full moons revolve around the theme of that moon. Loosely, though. So unlike my Patreon videos, which are, deep dives into that specific moon, that specific chart, and kind of specific to a specific moment in time, this podcast, these conversations are going to be timeless. So they'll loosely revolve around the themes of that sign. This one being Sagittarius, my natal moon sign. So I thought it would be a perfect time to launch. Sagittarius also governs the teacher, the guide, the mentor, and the internet and publishing. So I thought it would be a really great time to get more out there, publish more of my thoughts, and host a podcast, which I've been wanting to do for a while. I have so many amazing conversations with like fellow astrologers and mystics online. Is this a shadow? Oh, yeah. Okay. Just making sure my makeup's not smudged. Can't be having that on episode 1, right? I have such amazing conversations in the DMs on Instagram with these voice notes where I listen to them and I'm like, oh my God, people need to hear this conversation. This would be such a profound podcast. But you guys know me, like, I am not tech savvy. The thought of like having to figure out how to start a podcast, having to figure out Spotify and Apple Podcasts and all of these things, like that wasn't sparking joy. But Substack has this really great new feature where you can link Substacks. You can do a podcast platform type of live conversation, and then it saves the audio. It can automatically upload the audio to YouTube, to Apple Podcast, to Spotify. I think it says it automatically makes little clips so that you could like post them as reels or TikToks to promote said podcast. And all of these like automatic features, they do spark joy. And so I was like, all right, maybe it's time. So welcome to a Sip of Stardust. I'm just going to read my little intro I wrote here. I'm going to like professionally record it and it'll be with music and all that jazz, for the audio versions. But for you guys here, I'm just gonna read it. Okay, so welcome, witches, mystics, and cosmic souls to a Sip of Stardust. I'm your host, Allie, the cosmic space witch, a professional astrologer with an esoteric twist. My specialty is galactic astrology, where I dive deep to explore the macrocosm of the sky and the microcosm of your soul. I look way past the typical forecast, incorporating asteroids, black holes, fixed stars, and the ancient mysteries to give you an expanded and truly esoteric lens with which to view the grand design. Here, we'll sip on tea and we'll explore the astrology. Catch new episodes live on Substack at 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, the night of the new and full moons, with recordings available the next day on all streaming platforms. We'll welcome magical guests, drink handcrafted tea, pull oracle cards, and decode the myth, magic, and mystery found in the stars and in you. Each guest and conversation will revolve loosely around the archetypal dynamics of that zodiac sign, the night of the moon. These conversations, however, will be timeless and able to be consumed at any point in the year. So grab yourself a cup, settle in. It's time to take a sip of Stardust. If you guys do not already have a cup of tea, go brew one while I am chatting here. Because these podcasts are going to be like part podcast, part new moon, full moon ceremony, particularly with a focus on teas. I have partnered with a amazing company who's actually was founded by an astrologer and an herbalist. Um, I don't know where I was going with that. It was founded by an astrologer and an herbalist, and it's a tea company. They make so many different varieties of tea, but I was really drawn to their Zodiac series. I bought all 12 teas. We're going to start first tonight with the Sagittarius tea. And what I love is that it was so intentionally prepared. Like there are all of the herbs are associated with that sign. It even comes with a little mantra to say as you're stirring your tea in a very intentional fashion, and a poem as well. And so much thought and intention was put into these teas. And so I am going to brew myself a cup. If you have not already brewed yourself a cup, what are you waiting for? Go do that. I have an affiliate link for this company. There was no way for me to post it here yet, but you can find it on the article that I wrote for magical gift ideas. Oh, it's so pretty. I haven't even opened this yet. Magical gift ideas for the holiday season. There is a couple of different things in there, and the affiliate link for this company, Magic Hour Club, Magic Hour Tea, you can find over there. Or when this is done, I think maybe there's a description available for me to like write a description. I'll put it there then. Oh my gosh, this smells so good. Hi guys. Oh my gosh. Okay, I'm going to tell you guys what's in here. So this is a tea for Sagittarius. It's a tea that helps facilitate bold vision, good fortune, and abundance. It helps you really channel in the positive associations of Jupiter, which I seem to always need help with because even though I have like a massive, maybe it's because, well, I have a massive Sagittarius stellium, but it's in the fourth house and Saturn is there. So maybe that's why I get the not so nice associations with Jupiter showing up in my life. But this helps facilitate good fortune and attract the generous gifts of Jupiter. It has pomegranate and ginger merged into a fruit cake tea. It really does smell like so sweet and fruity. She says this potion is then scented with sublime vanilla beans, caramel cream, sunny orange essential oil, sun-dried oranges, warming ginger, sexy cinnamon, and finally kissed with, I never know how to pronounce this, but I know it helps lower cortisol. Rhodalia rosa? Oh, I know that I butchered that. But it's an herb that I know helps lower cortisol because I bought it for that. And then nature, it says it's nature's pinnacle mood booster. And it definitely helps lower some of those like more harmful hormones. It's calming, it's warming, it's expansive. And so I'm going to throw this here in the pot. And then once I pour it in the cup, we'll do the little mantra and the poem. We're going to let this brew for a little bit as I hop into the rest of this. I have no idea how much to do here, but we're just going to wing it. My pot's pretty small. If anybody is in the chat and they're drinking a tea, please tell us what you're drinking. I want to know. All right. We'll talk a little bit about more about this later. Okay, there's a poem. I just want to bring it up. So it seems like the chat moves kind of fast and I can scroll back. Okay, everybody is just saying hi. Hi, everybody. All right, so for this one, I want to do a little bit of a Q&A. I have 2 questions that were asked via Instagram. I kind of posted it only a little while ago. I've been kind of running behind, very Sagittarian, right? So I have 2 questions that I want to kind of cover here. If you guys have any questions for me, I'm doing a little bit of a Q&A here. This is the time where you can literally ask me anything you want. All right. You want to ask me astrology questions. You want to ask me personal questions. You want to ask me literally anything, write in the chat. I'll scroll back. I'm going to start with these 2, one of which is going to have me talking for a while because it's about the astrology of 2026. I also want to pull some cards. I have several decks that I plan on working with. And then while this brews here, we'll give it some time. Hopefully the water was still hot enough because I poured this a little while ago. Hold on. Also the first time I'm using this like glass teapot. Well, we'll just hope for the best. It's very Sagittarius. Maybe I have to brew it in my good teapot. I don't know. All right. So the first question I got, which I love this question. And I love telling the story because I think it's hilarious. All right. So the first question I got was, what experience with astrology made it click for you that it was really magic? So I used to think astrology was complete and utter nonsense. And I thought that people who believed in astrology were batshit crazy. I did not believe in it at all. And that's because the only frame of reference I had for astrology was the little horoscopes in the back of teen magazines, you know? And I would read them and I'd be like, this is so vague. This is so vague and just a little silly. And so I thought that that is what astrology was. And I was like, it's bullshit. I didn't even really, I knew like what my sign was. It was a Libra, but I didn't really even know what that meant because in the back of the magazines, they don't really tell you that. They just give you these predictions for the month, right? Like, oh, you're going to meet this person or this is going to happen, sudden strokes of luck or whatever. And I would read them and I would laugh and I'm like, this is silly. This is not real. And it is silly and it is not real. I was very scientific minded. Like I was a psych major and I really believed that everything was just, chemical balances in the brain. That's all consciousness really was. And I honestly believed, it's so funny to say this because I do not believe this even remotely anymore, but I honestly believed that like when we died, it was just black. I would say that I wouldn't say I was like an atheist, but I was definitely an agnostic. Like I just didn't I'd say I didn't have strong beliefs, spiritual beliefs, but I did have like strong beliefs in science, I guess. So like that was my dogma. Um, as many of you know, I struggled with a lot of addiction problems throughout my life. Like the majority of my life. I was diagnosed with a lot of like learning disabilities as a child, and I was put on very, very, very ridiculously, probably illegal high dose of Ritalin. at the ripe old age of 4. And I was on it from 4 to 18. And when they took me off of it when I turned 18, I was going out into college and I like literally could not function. And it was very quickly that I found like cocaine and then the harder stuff. And then I like spiraled, right? And that eventually took me to, deeply, profoundly spiritual places and a spiritual awakening where I had just I was proven completely wrong on all of my beliefs. And I saw very clearly that there was a spiritual dimension because I was pulled down to it. And I had like a crisis of faith, but then like a really profound awakening that was, borderline spiritual psychosis, very scary. But I made it out the other side. Now, previous to all of this, right around the time that I was about to start spiraling, like I was about to turn 18, had already graduated, but hadn't turned 18 yet. And, I was running amok. I wanted a tattoo. But of course, nobody would tattoo me because I wasn't an adult. And my friend was like, "Oh, you want a tattoo? Well, I know a guy who will tattoo you." And I was like, "All right." And so he takes me to the shadiest little shack. Like, I had no business being there. I'm surprised I did not get like trafficked or something. It was very sketchy. And it was like this like self-proclaimed gypsy guy. Like, that's what he calls himself. I know that's considered a slur, but that's what he called himself. And like old man who had been tattooing for years. And I come in and I tell him what I want, which I wanted Fleetwood Mac lyrics. And I wanted to say, "I have always been a storm." And he was like, "Okay, that's cool. What's your birthday?" I was like, "What?" He's like, "Yeah, what's your birthday?" I was like, "Why? You don't believe in that astrology stuff, do you? Because that is ridiculous." He's like, "Just humor me. What is your birthday?" I was like, "Okay, well, it's September 29th." And so he goes off his little shelf where I could see he has like all these very like occult, esoteric, wizardy books. And he pulls off this like giant, absolutely massive book called The Secret Language of Birthdays that isn't like a traditional astrology book where it's like, "Oh, you're a Libra, or you're this, or you're that." It's literally broken down to the day that you were born. And so he opens the book to September 29th and he starts to read. And the absolute first line of that page was, "You are the eye of the hurricane." And then it goes on to like describe me to a T, like freakishly accurate. And I was just blown away. I was like, what? Like, what is this sorcery? You know what I mean? And it was really interesting because I was there to get this tattoo, these Fleetwood Mac lyrics, "You've always been a storm." And I really looked at myself as like this force of chaos and destruction. But that first line was like, "Okay, yeah, maybe you're a storm, but you're the eye of the hurricane." That still point in the center, that like voice of reason in chaos. And I did not really see that in myself, but that one line and that association with the storm just like unlocked everything for me. And I got that tattoo, which is horrible. One of the worst mistakes I ever made, except for getting a man's name tattooed on me, which is even worse. Thank God it's on my back and I don't have to see it. Um, it's so bad. It really is so bad. Um, and it unlocked this obsession in me. And I went and bought every astrology book that I could ever find. And, this was right around the time I was spiraling into the depths of hell itself. And, I had these books and I would pull them, I would use them, but I only really did like sun sign astrology because I didn't have my birth time. I never had my birth time. I would ask my mom all the time, "What time am I born? What time am I born?" And she's like, "I don't have no idea." And I'm like, "How do you have no idea?" Like, I'm offended, Like, you don't even know morning, noon, or night? She got no clue. But I asked her so much that finally 2018, which was the year of my really profound awakenings, spiritual psychosis, whatever you want to call going like batshit crazy, seeing God, and then coming back down to reality. Um, that was the same time that she was like, "Oh, I went to the Hall of Records and I got your birth certificate." And so while I was in that state, that was like kind of akin to like probably a little bit of like mania. And I, I don't really know how to describe it, but it was when I hear I've never done ayahuasca or anything like that, but when I hear my clients describe like peyote or ayahuasca or these like plant medicine ceremonies that like show you the depths of what was repressed inside of you and facilitate this sort of like connection to spirit, like I'm like, oh yeah, that's pretty much what happened to me, except for mine was from coming off of hard drugs rather than taking them. And I really think that the Ritalin and then all of the other things after that was like suppressing my psychic gifts or whatever you want to call it. And then once I finally got off everything, they all kind of came online in a really crazy way. And I could all of a sudden like understand archetypes and symbolism and all of this thing. And it was the same time that I got my birth time. And so it was the same time that I was finally able to see my chart. And as many of you know, like I am completely self-taught astrologer. And a lot of it like flooded into me during that period of whatever you want to call it. I don't know. Batshit crazy. It was fucking crazy. It was really crazy. But a lot of it like flooded into me at that time. And I was consuming a lot of information. And it was all kind of clicking and making sense. It wasn't until I was already a practicing astrologer for like a couple of years until I started to actually learn from other people. I was apprenticed with Rick Levine for a while, for like a year. I apprenticed underneath him. I took his course, things like that, but it made me just kind of realize how much I already knew. And it was because like the floodgates opened and it all just kind of came in. And so there was like two kind of moments where astrology kind of clicked for me. There was that time where I was like on the precipice of becoming an adult and the descent that was on the horizon for me. And that guy pulling that book and reading that line. And I was just like, wow, okay, there's something to this. But I still was very scientific minded. Like, I could really vibe with like quantum physics and like quantum theory. Around that same time, that movie, What the Bleep We Know, came out. And I watched that and I was fascinated by that. And I was like, okay, I can get down with some spiritual themes, but it's still very like scientifically minded. Like I said, I was major focus on like psychology and quantum physics. I was like as far as I can get. And I was like, okay, yeah, maybe consciousness is a thing. And like after we die, maybe there's something. But I was still very like agnostic. Like I ended up in AA and those 12-step programs, and I always had an issue with it because their main thing is that like nobody will take you through the steps if you do not like claim that there's some sort of like higher power outside of yourself. And this was a while ago. This was before, 2012, everybody got woo woo and spiritual, and nobody was really using the term the universe as like their god or anything yet. And so I would try to float that idea to my sponsors. I'm like, hey, like I am not okay with being like, yo, there's some dude in the sky. And I give my will to him. Like, I cannot do that. I was like, what about like everything? Like, what if like everything is God and it's a grander design than me? And I understand that it is a power greater than me. And they're like, I don't know about that. I was like, really? And so I like rubbed people the wrong way. And I could never really find anybody to help me because they all leaned very like Christian, unfortunately. Um, and I refused to cave and submit to that idea. It was so funny because they wouldn't let me claim that everything was God, but they were like, hey, you could have the doorknob. The doorknob to this room could be your higher power because it opens you up to this new world and all of these people here who have figured out what you haven't figured out yet because your will runs riot. And I'm like, yeah, I'm not doing that either. And so I never really fit in. And the way I eventually got clean and sober was like a really profound spiritual experience where like it was no longer a question in my eye. Like, um, I was agnostic, which means like, I just don't know. Like, I'm not going to say that like there is a God or there is this higher power. And I'm not going to say that there isn't because I don't fucking know. And all these other people n- think that they know. And what if they're wrong? you know? Um, and that's a very Sag way of being like Sag is so rooted in like belief, but also like experience, And for me, like to believe it is to see it and experience it. And then I did. And it was really profound. And it was the same time that I was getting my birth time and being able to like actually see my chart for the first time rather than just you're a Libra sun. And I didn't really associate a lot with my Libra sun because all I ever heard was like, oh, they're balanced. I wasn't balanced. I was extremely imbalanced. But now I can see that balance show up in certain ways. They're very relationship minded. I was like, okay, that is definitely true because I was always paying attention to some fucking dude and trying to appease him as opposed to ever doing what I wanted to do until much later. And it was always the most toxic dudes ever. Oh, God, ridiculous. But there was like certain things where I was like, okay, yeah, yeah, yeah. And then I would see it play out in like my family or other people I knew, like the sun signs. And I was like, there's definitely something to this, but it wasn't until 2018, the summer of 2018, when the floodgates opened. I finally had access to my chart. And then my dad, I don't know if I should tell the internet this, but I was broke, like completely broke. Like astrology software is expensive. It's like $300, $400. And there was like no way that I could afford that. Now, and even then, like a lot of the apps, um, you had to pay for. Now there's a lot of more freer options. I mean, there was always astro.com, but I can't stand astro.com. It's a pain in the ass. And so my dad, he he's like a film guy. He loves films, movies. He's obsessed. He's got a bit of the chism, and his obsession is films. And he owns tons of reels of films, DVDs, blah, blah, blah. And then he also like compulsively downloads them off some sketchy websites where you can get like bootleg things. So he found me like bootleg versions of astrology software. And then that just unlocked everything for me. And then I started reading my friends' charts and just like the chart in general. And I would text my friend at the time all this astrology stuff, maybe a little bit too much so. Because remember, I was a little borderline mania. Like I had blasted out into outer space, and it was a while before I came back down to reality. Okay. So to be fair, I was probably texting her a little too much. And, she was very spiritual too, but she was really more into like Kundalini yoga and breath work. And a lot of what I was saying was like going over her head. And she was like, listen, I don't care. She didn't say it in too many words, but she was like, you need to tell the internet. Like, you need to stop telling me and you need to go tell the internet. And I was like, no, like, I am not an astrologer. Like, she's like, but you know all the stuff. And I was like, no, like if it was up to me, I would have never been like, I'm an astrologer now. I'm going to start doing astrology on the internet. Like it was not up to me. She didn't want to hear it anymore. And she was like, you need to go tell the internet. So we're going to start this little like spiritual collective. I'll make videos that are like yoga related and you can do astrology. And I was like, oh no, like I am not ready. She's like, just write them at first. And so it was actually a Sag moon, just like now, that I wrote my first ever. I should find it and show you guys. It was actually pretty good. But I wrote my first ever like astrology post. And they just snowballed from there. She's the first one who made me go on camera too. Like I would not go on camera. I was like, no, like I could write a post because I could spend some time to like think about it, do the research, blah, 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 pull my books and make sure that everything I'm saying is accurate and correct. I got a bunch of Virgo placements too, but I might misspeak on camera. And she made me do it. So for the longest time, I would sit there for hours. And I didn't even have a computer yet. I had a shitty computer. I had a really shitty computer, but I would go to the library and I would use their computer. And I would write these long scripts. Every single thing I wanted to say in that video would be so long. And I would sit there and I would read it word for word because I was so afraid of like making any mistakes. And then it looked a little awkward. You could tell my eyes are like down. I'm like reading something down here. Like it didn't land, but everything I said was accurate. Like I did my research, right? And so eventually I still was not comfortable enough. I have Chiron in the 10th house in Gemini. So I have wounds around intelligence. I have wounds around feeling like what I have to say is valid. And I have like major imposter syndrome, like so bad. And it's because of all the things they told me when I was a little kid about my inability to learn and my brain being trash and needing medication to like be like the other kids. I'm pretty much scarred for life when it comes to that. Even though I don't believe it so much anymore, it's still I do believe them, unfortunately. So I started to record myself. It's so funny. I have to find some of these videos for you guys because they're hilarious. They're accurate, but they're so awkward and hilarious. So after I would do the scripts and I didn't like how I was looking down, then I would start to record myself in little voice memos, reading the scripts. And then I would like put a little like headphone in my ear and like cover it with my hair. And then I would repeat to the camera what is playing in my ear. And then we would edit it all together. And I did that for a while. And then eventually, because whatever happens when you go into business with friends, right? We had different visions about, we had different values, pretty much. Like I didn't want to cave on like my authenticity and what made me like weird and different and what I actually liked, my passions, in order to like cater to a vast audience. And she wanted to cater to a vast audience and make as much money as possible, as quick as possible. And I don't know. I have also wounds around money. I think that it is the root of all evil, and it is something I'm trying to work on because that's not true, I think. So, of course, we split up. We went our own separate ways. And that was when I started my Patreon. Actually, before that, we had a little like podcast type thing on YouTube where we would bring on guests. And that was like my first introduction to like live video. And I liked it because I would obsess a lot about the scripts and the editing. And I'd spend so much time to make sure it was perfect. And the conversation, the live video, I could just kind of let loose and it was less stressful. There was no editing. There was no prep work. It was just kind of like go with the flow. And so after we split up, I started my Patreon. And that I really liked because that is where I found my people. I love you guys over on Patreon. The people who are like me, like they don't want the surface. They don't want the vague. They want to spend like 2 hours or more diving deep into the chart, into all the little intricate little things, the asteroids, the black holes, and all this stuff. And so Patreon has been my like besides my client work, Patreon has been like my core outlet, creative outlet, and I love it so, so, so much. It really gives me that freedom to be able to kind of like follow my passions and do what I like to do. Of course, it's not for everybody, and I don't want to be for everybody, right? But I have really missed the like conversational aspect of it, and so I'm so excited to be back over here and to have these conversations with such amazing people. I'm so excited for what is to come. So I know I went off on some tangents there, but maybe I answered the question. My experience with astrology that clicked for me, that guy pulling that book when I was 18 and like blowing my ever living mind. I was like, what? I am here to get a tattoo that says I've always been a storm, and the first line of this book is you are the eye of a hurricane. Like, tell me more. And then I like literally went and bought all the books. I mean, I may have stolen them. You guys, I was 17. I was a hot mess, little punk rock kid running amok. Don't judge me. I have repented. Okay. But I may have stolen some of those. But during that time, I got my all-time favorite book that I will always forever tell you guys about at this bookstore that used to exist in Long Beach. Technically, it was Lakewood, and it was called the Dollar Bookstore. And every book there was $1. And I got this book. If I could recommend one astrology book to you of the plethora of books I am currently drowning in, it would be this book. And I got it for $1. And then it was one of the first books I ever got, and it's still my most used book. And it is called The Complete Handbook of Astrology. It's from the 90s. The guy's name, I forget his name because it's not on the cover. Marshall Cavendish is the author. So good. I got this for $1, and this was what I was like constantly using. There's some really good charts for like compatibility and things like that. And that was the book that started it all. But it was then, and then it was 2018 when I finally got the chart, because the charts are what really unlock it for you. The charts are what really help you see the magic. So if you are into astrology and you just know maybe like your sun, moon, or rising, and you've never had your chart officially read by an astrologer, please do that. It doesn't have to be me. It can be anybody. Well, not anybody. Some of them really suck. Somebody that you vibe with, somebody whose work you actually resonate with and you vibe with. But please have your chart read. You could book one from me. New client sessions, we go really deep into fixed stars and all kinds of other stuff. I have transit readings. I just launched a mini 2026 year ahead reading that's just like pre-recorded. And it'll look at all of like the major energy of 2026, which we're about to get into because that's the next question. And yeah, do yourself a favor and have your chart read, because you don't know astrology until you do. And it's so profound to see it all kind of tied together. And apps do not do it justice because they don't weave it together. They're like, here is your sun, here is your moon, here is your rising, here is your Venus, here is this. And they don't really talk enough about how they're aspected, or how, because like astrology is full of contradictions and paradoxes. And a skilled astrologer has the ability to kind of like weave those together in a way that makes sense. Okay. Hi, that's Elizabeth right there. Get a reading with Allie. Completely worth it. This was her question, by the way. I'm so afraid to touch this because I need a new stand for my phone. This thing will likely just kind of like fall back. So if that happens, I'm so sorry. But I'm gonna scroll up. Oh my god, I'm so scared. Okay, hold on. How do I? Okay. Blah 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 blah. Everybody's saying hi and they're joining. Deanna, I hear you totally relate to the issues in AA. I believed in God, but not in the way that he's an old man waiting to let us into heaven. Yeah, well, if you use that word, God, they're usually okay with it. I was like, it's my own version of it, blah, blah, blah. But I had like a major issue with that word. Now I do use it, but I use it in a different kind of way. I think it's like this grand design, this great unfolding, and that everything is God, you, me, even this fucking table, right? That is a good question, Elizabeth. I was like, ooh, I like that, because I love that story about the freaking book and getting that tattoo. But it does always have me overshare a little bit, which is the beauty of live video. She did just have a reading with me. I love reading her chart. Oh my gosh, I have read Elizabeth's chart a bajillion times. Returning clients are my favorite because I start to get really familiar with the chart in their lives. And so I'm able to kind of dig in a little bit deeper. Hi, Melissa. Allie's first session, or like a new client session, will blow your mind. After having my chart read for about some time now as a birthday gift, along with human design and tune readings, whatever resonated at the moment. I found I always something learned something from every astrologer, but Allie just hits all the nails. Oh, thank you, Melissa. I appreciate it so much. Okay, we're gonna just take a look at our tea. I feel like my water wasn't hot enough because this is a little light, but we're gonna roll with it. Um, let's do this next question, and then my tea is cold. It's fine. It'll still work. All right. If you guys have any questions, you can add it in the chat, and I'll get to them after this one. This one is also going to be quite long, but a little less oversharey about my life and a little more talking about 2026. All right. So, the next question, what broad themes are you seeing for 2026? And then she says, like, do we finally get to chill for a minute? This was from another Elizabeth, a different Elizabeth. And I don't know, Elizabeth. It depends on what your definition of chill is. I would not say the word chill. No. But it's definitely going to be wildly different than where we have been. And for those of us who have like heavy air and fire placements in our chart, like me, you will feel better. But chill is definitely not the word that I would use. Um, it's going to be like radical, accelerated change. And we got a little taste of that here in 2025, where all of the outer planets moved into new signs, but then they retrograded back into the signs that they were in. And so I say that like 2025 was like 2 steps forward, 5 steps back. And so we got this little taste of this change of energy, just like a couple steps in a new direction. And then all of the planets retrograded back into the signs that they were in. And so we're like way back in that same sort of territory. And these planets had been in these signs for like so long. And so it's energy that we've been dealing with for a considerable length of time. Like Uranus had been in Taurus since 2018. It actually moved in right right when I blasted off into outer freaking space. And it's interesting because I moved into my 9th house of like faith and religion and like spiritual connection. And then like the teacher, the guide, the mentor, the higher mind, the higher self, books, expanding our mind through philosophical exploration and like everything that I like fell into, right? It's so funny. But Uranus had been in Taurus since 2018, Neptune in Pisces since like 2011, 2012, Chiron in Aries also since 2018. A lot of things have been in signs for a long period of time. And 2025, all of them except for Chiron, moved into new signs, but then moved back. Now in 2026, they all officially move into these new signs. And we move out of a lot of earth and water, very feminine, very emotional, very introspective, to a lot of fire and air, very introverted, extroverted, very extroverted, very projecting outward force, right? That has a lot to do with action and communication and like getting out into the world as opposed to like retreating in upon the self. Which for those of us who are our charts heavily dominated in fire and air, like me, I've been drowned in the earth and water, and I'm like, please, somebody send me a freaking lifeboat because I don't like this. I need to come out of myself because I've been in here for too long and it's driving me crazy, literally. And so I am eagerly awaiting whatever 2026 brings because it's got to be different than this because it's going to change. And I don't like where it's been. The last couple of years have been one majorly traumatic personal traumatic event after another after another. Right when I finally recover from some like drastic earth shattering freaking thing, and I'm like, all right, let's get back out there. And then another thing happens, and I'm just like, please stop. I can't do this anymore. And so 2026, it's going to be a year of change, right? And so if you do not like where things are, then you want them to change, right? So that is good. But it's like going to be a lot of change in a lot of different areas of our life because a lot of planets are changing signs and a lot of things are shifting. We'll get to those here in a second. But we could also, like, I've been saying this a lot in my Patreon videos. By the way, if you're here and you're not a member of my Patreon, go join Patreon. It is sliding scale. You can literally pay whatever you want. All of the tier levels have access to all video content. So like my lowest tier is like $3 a month. You have access to everything. And that's where I do the deep dives on the new moon and the full moon. And over there, I've been telling them a lot about how, Western astrology, Chinese astrology, and then even numerology are all saying the same thing about 2026, right? In Western astrology, which we'll get to here, all these planets are changing signs, starting new chapters. In Chinese astrology, we're coming out of the year of the snake, which is a year of like deaths and transmutation and alchemization and shedding, a lot of shedding. And then we're moving into the year of the horse, which gallops us forward into a new reality. We just like have this horsepower that like shoots us forward. And then numerology says that we are in a 9-year right now, which is a year of endings, of completion, of culmination, of like all this like hard work coming to a fucking end. I look at it as like the 10 of Wands card, like we're fucking tired. And it's a lot of profound endings, but it's all in preparation for the 1 year that we're moving into in 2026, which is all about new beginnings, right? So I wonder if there's a way to combine Patreon with Substack. There's not. There's not a way to do that. I am working with a business person to help me make a new website that I'm going to do like my own little like subscription thing where you could just pay right there and I'd upload everything over there. But yeah, no, there's no way to do the two. And I really like Substack because I can send things directly to your inbox. And people can join for free. And Patreon I also love too because that's kind of where I started and I got a lot of supporters over there. But yeah, there's no way to combine the two. That would be nice. She does offer her chart up for analysis in my course. All right. So let's talk about some of the major themes of 2026 beyond us. I wouldn't say we get to chill for a minute. No, that is not the thing. I feel like we're going to be galloping into a new reality. Okay. And there's a lot of different things happening. So like the first major shift we have is in January. Hi, Elizabeth. Elizabeth, I am answering your question right now. You're going to have to go back and watch the first part because I gave a whole little spiel and now I'm getting into the actual transits of 2026. But I said that 2026 is going to be a year of immense changes and galloping into a new reality. I don't know if chill is the right word. Actually, it's not. It's definitely not the right word. But it's going to be a lot different. And it's going to feel fresh and new and a little exciting. All right. So the first major shift in 2026 is Neptune. Neptune, who has been in Pisces since literally 2011, 2012, where a lot of us kind of started dipping our toes into the spiritual realm. It will officially move into Aries. It dipped in early 2025. It was there for a minute. It retrograded back out. So we got a little taste of this, but it will officially move into Aries on the 26th of January. And it's going to be there until 2039. All right. So it's going to be energy that we are working with for a while. Um, Neptune in Aries. So Neptune in Pisces had us, very dreamy, very spiritual, very kind of like in the vision, in the psychic dimension, kind of floating through. It's very Alice in Wonderland-y, very like floating through the archetypal unconscious and very creative. But Pisces is so intangible. It's really a little immobile and unable to kind of like take action on any of these creative sparks, or bring any of it into the world, right? And Aries is that start of the zodiac. It is where life returns in the spring and it brings things back out into the world. And so Neptune coming out into the world. Now, this is going to have a couple of different associations. Like for us personally, it's going to help us kind of like bring our dreams out into reality, right? Now, on the world stage, Aries does govern like anger, I mean, even in our lives, but like anger, rage, war. And Neptune always kind of casts a spell upon the population. And while he has been in Pisces, the spell has been like very spiritual, a lot of spiritual attacks. You know what I mean? Pinning people against each other, with different spiritual mindsets. It's like rise of Christian nationalism, this lingering almost like witch trials that seem like are on the horizon. But once Neptune moves into Aries, the spell is going to be rooted in Aries themes, which does have a lot to do with like war and anger. And I feel like the next psyop on the horizon is going to revolve around some war type theme. That's fun, right? But in our personal lives, it's definitely going to help us take action in regards to all of the dreamy ideas and inspiration and psychic development that we have been kind of floating in since 2012. It's going to help us bring some of that into the world. It's also going to help make our spiritual practices a little bit more individualistic. While we're not kind of following spiritual um like gurus or trends or leaders or whatever, these kind of like cult mentalities. Aries is the pioneer. And Neptune has a lot to do with our psychic senses and our spirituality. And so our spirituality is going to become a lot more individualistic over this next year, where we don't really need these outside teachers, guides, mentors, or not really going with the collective unconscious and where it's kind of being pulled. And we're kind of in this like ebb and flows of this like collective mind. We're going to be a lot more like in our own power and on our own path. All right. And so the first thing is Neptune moving into Aries. We then have Saturn join him, also move into Aries. He dipped in there back in early 2025 in May. But then just like Neptune retrograded back into Pisces. And then on the 13th of February, he's going to move into Aries, where he will be till 2028. And then they're finally going to meet. All right. Neptune and Aries have been like pussyfooting around each other just forever. Like they've been so close together. They moved into Aries, they retrograded back into Pisces, and they've been just like so fucking close. But they finally meet. I have some post I'm going to post at some point, and it says, I really wish that Neptune and Saturn would stop pussyfooting around and make out already, because they have yet to conjunct. But they will meet on the 20th of February at 0 degrees of Aries. So 0 degrees of every single sign denotes new beginnings. 29 degrees endings, 0 degrees beginnings. They are known as the analytic degrees or the critical degrees, and they are really profound degrees in astrology. And 0 degrees is associated with beginnings. 0 degrees of Aries is not just the start of Aries, but it's the start of the zodiac. It is that equinox degree where life returns, where light takes over, and we start to move into the light half of the year. And it is a degree of really profound new beginnings. And so Saturn and Neptune are going to meet early in the year at that degree. And that really kicks off what 2026 is all about, which is new chapters, new beginnings. Neptune is our dreams and Saturn is reality. Neptune is the unreality, but Saturn is the structure of reality itself. And the two of them coming together really have the ability to make our dreams a reality. It happens on top of my North Node. I'm interested to see how this plays out. My 8th house North Node. I'm hoping it plays out as I would like, but we shall see. Really profound new beginnings. If I had to summarize what 2026 is all about, it's like profound change in countless areas of your life, particularly whatever sign, whatever house in your chart is ruled by Aries, and then also these other signs we'll get into here in a second. Profound change, profound change. Really, we're feeling it inching into our lives in January, but then the end of February when they finally meet, like that is going to initiate something. Saturn and Neptune have not met for like 37 years. Okay. Like they haven't met since many of us were born. All right. This is energy we have not experienced in our life and we will never experience in our life again at this profound 0 degree point. Like radical change is on the horizon that can really help make our dreams a reality. It also can help make the unreality a reality. And so we'll see this like rise of AI. Another reason why I really wanted to get here and start this podcast because uncut live video, authentic conversations, like that is the internet I like. You know, this AI freaking slop. The algorithm and the feed is killing my soul. And I really miss what the internet used to be. And I feel like a lot of people are going back to in-person community, which I'm also doing, and long form audio that is like unpolished, uncut, authentic human conversation and connection, right? Because the illusion, the fantasy, the unreality is being like solidified. People cannot tell what is real anymore. And Saturn and Neptune coming together is going to make that even worse. Like when you see these obvious AI videos, plain as fucking day AI videos, and you go to the comments and you see the vast majority of people cannot tell that is AI. And then every once in a while, you'll see that one guy be like, this is AI. I'm like, thank you, dude. Thank you, guy. Yeah, someone needs to say it. And everybody else is just reacting and blah, blah, blah. Like people are so immersed in the Neptunian illusion right now, they cannot tell what is real. And I feel like the Saturn-Neptune conjunction is going to have a twofold effect. People are going to be solidified even deeper into that illusion. And then other people are going to be like rebelling against it. Aries, right? Fighting against it. And I feel like this is something that spans the dichotomy, right? There are people like not a lot of things can the left and right agree on. You guys know me. I am neither. I adamantly disagree with a lot of things on the left and I adamantly disagree with a lot of things on the right. But then I also agree with some of that and some of that. And I am this weird Libra liminal space between delusions and truth, you know? But the one thing that I have seen these two sides, people on both sides fight for and agree on is AI. People on both sides are against it. Not everybody. A lot of people can't tell the fucking difference, but it is something that I feel like we can unite on. And I feel like Aries is going to awaken the warrior in us all. And people will either be fighting for the delusion or the illusion or fighting against it, you know? And I'm all for that. Fuck that shit. I'm so sick of this AI nonsense. Okay. I'll talk more about this as it comes. I'll, of course, write an article on it. So we've got that Neptune, Saturn conjunction, big fucking deal, new freaking chapter. And then we have Uranus moving. Oh, maybe we should do Jupiter. That's in June. That's in July. June. Okay. So summer is a big shift. All right. So we have like this stuff happening in February, January, and then the summer, a lot of things are changing signs, like back to back to back to back. The summer is going to be crazy, crazy changes. It starts first with Jupiter, who has been in Cancer, where he is exalted. That's supposed to mean that he does good stuff. I personally have seen him do some really gnarly shit to people in my life that I am just in awe of. People with strong Cancer placements. And I'm just like, wow. People associate Jupiter with luck, but they forget that it is either good luck or bad luck and that it's growth. But a lot of times, especially since he's aspecting Chiron right now, that growth is a lot of times being facilitated by painful events that bring up a lot of Cancerian emotions and things like that. Yeah, it's a focus on family and a lot of growth within the family, maybe some emotional growth, you know what I mean? But it has not been necessarily fun. Even though Jupiter really likes to be in Cancer, I haven't really been having a good time. It has been in my 11th house of community groups and friends, and so I have gotten a lot out into the community. I'm doing all these markets, and that's really great and really nice. But I am ready for him to leave Cancer, even though supposedly he likes to be there the most. I am ready for him to move into Leo because Leo is the sign of fun. It's the sign of fun. It's the sign of joy. It's romance. It's children. It's passion. It's hobbies. It's creative self-expression. And Jupiter is going to expand all of those themes. And in the summer, around the end of June, Jupiter moves into into Leo. This is going to bring a like optimistic energy back. You know, it's going to pull us out of the watery depths of Cancer and we're going to feel like we want to have fun again. Like we're happy again. You know what I mean? Like it's going to happen alongside a bunch of other changes. So we have Jupiter moving in to Leo in June, late June, like the end of June. And then we have a bunch of shit. Oh no, and then Chiron before that, actually on the 19th or like mid-June. Chiron, who has been in Aries since 2018. That's my 8th house. I'm ready for him to leave. I'm so like, get the fuck out of there, bro. We've done it. Okay. I have died and been reborn enough fucking times. I cannot do it anymore. Please leave me alone. He will retrograde back in, unfortunately, but he starts to move into Taurus on June 19th. 2026. And so all of the healing we've been doing since 2018 in whatever house Aries governs starting to come to a close. And we're heading into the healing that needs to happen within whatever house Taurus governs. For me, it's my 9th house, the teacher, the guide, the mentor, publishing. I'm hoping it's me like stepping into a more like wounded healer role as like a facilitator as opposed to just like in the 8th house trenches. I'm hoping, I'm hoping these might be my own delusions, but I'm gonna hope for the best. But we have Jupiter moving into Leo, Chiron moving into Taurus in June. And then in July, we have Uranus officially moving into Gemini and the nodes changing signs. All right. So Uranus dipped into Gemini early 2025. I wrote a whole article on it here on Substack where I went really deep. If you have not read that, please read that. Uranus is the planet of ingenuity, brilliance, insight, breakthroughs, invention, rebellion. It's erratic, it's unpredictable. And Gemini has a lot to do with like information and data and the mind. And I wrote a lot about how our minds are going to be like, I know you asked Elizabeth, is it going to be chill? it's not going to be chill. We're going to have to really work to ground because our minds, we're going to be air and fire. Our minds are going to be like popping off. But we're going to feel very like optimistic and communicative and ready to kind of go. But we're going to need to remember to ground into our bodies, right? We're going to have this like, we already have this, but it's going to be accelerated. This like onslaught of like data and information coming at us in all directions. Um, and a lot of more data collection. Uranus also governs like AI and high technology, innovation, things like that, which is just going to be accelerated, especially when it comes to um, data collection and consolidation. That's going to be a really big theme. And finding ways to kind of like connect in ways that are enlightening and illuminating and not in ways that like siphon our life force to the machine, right? I'm hoping that this new platform here is a way that we can kind of like connect and use technology in a way that is illuminating and enlightening, and helps us to expand our minds and not just doom scroll. It's going to be Uranus and Gemini, major doom scroll energy that just like fries your circuits, fries your mind. Your mind wants to consume. It's going to want to consume all kinds of information. And you have to find a way to funnel that in an intentional direction. All right. Because otherwise, you're going to fry your fucking circuits. You will fry your circuits with Uranus and Gemini. And it's going to be there till 2033. Okay. All right. Please go read my article. I wrote so much about it. And then the nodes. All right. So the North Node has been in Pisces. The South Node has been in Virgo. These are signs that are feminine in origin. Pisces has a lot to do with, that spiritual dimension, that realm of transcendence, striving towards the connection to our soul. Virgo, South Node, has had us really focus on a lot of things in regards to our health. The South Node wants us to purge. It wants us to break free from habits. It wants us to learn some freaking karmic lessons. And it wants us to do a lot of like karmic cleanup in the realm of health, diet, service, duty, responsibility, things along those lines, so that we can strive to a deeper connection with our soul. Our body and soul are connected, right? So we've been focusing heavily on that as the nodes and the eclipses have fallen here. And now the nodes always move backwards. So the nodes are moving into Leo and Aquarius with the North Node in Aquarius, which is going to call us to strive towards a connection to our humanity, our connection to community, a connection to groups and friends and genuine connection. It's also going to have us activating that like rebel archetype within us, that humanitarian within us, that fight for what it means to be human. And the ways that all of these changes here are working to try to confuse us on what that even means. And all of the different ways that we are giving away are a connection to what it means to be human, you know? And then that South Node in Leo is going to have us working on our ego. All right. Leo has a lot to do with egoic self-expression. And the South Node is going to help us. We'll be going through some form of like ego death. And probably because of all of the different changes that this year is going to accelerate within us, how we view ourselves, our identity, our personality, our vitality, our ego is going to die and be reborn into something new. We're not going to lose it. It's just going to be a different version of ourselves. All right. And that'll be from like July 2026 to 2028 that we have the nodes in those signs. And so to answer your question, Elizabeth, a lot of change. 2026 is an immense amount of fucking change. I also partner with another company in addition to this tea company, and that's Tarot Stack, which is a company that independently publishes tarot cards, oracle cards, and then some journals as well. And it helps independent artists get their stuff published. And then they also publish a couple of things themselves. And I'm really excited for 2026 to dive into, I'll just show you guys this, into this amazing 2026 journal. Probably this way is better because you can see all the writing better. 2026 journal that is jam-packed. It's over 500 pages. Jam-packed with information on all the moons, all the seasons, all the things to track your menstrual cycle, different journaling prompts, and all of this. 2026 is a year that you want to work with. All right, because new chapters are starting that are going to play out over a long period of time. All right, planets are moving into the signs where they're going to be to like 2039, 2033. Like long held new cycles are starting. And so you want to work with these intentionally. And if you don't really know where to start, I mean, booking a session with me would be nice, be a good start. But you want to work with this energy throughout the year. I highly recommend getting this celestial journal. I'll post my link down below. It will give me a little bit of a commission, small little commission. You don't save anything on the journal because it is independently published and they want to get as much money as possible to the artist. But that same code, that same link will save you on their decks that they do publish, like this amazing Celestial Bodies deck that we are going to pull from here in a second, and some of their other ones as well. So if you go to the article I wrote on Substack on gift ideas for the holidays, magical gift ideas, you can find all of these links and a little bit about this deck and a little bit about that journal and some of the other things that I do love. They're so great. I'm really excited to have partnered with this. It's all indie decks, independent artists, not supporting any sort of corporation. Even the company itself, it's just two tarot enthusiasts who started it. They are a small business, and we are excited to support them. I'm just looking to see anybody. Okay, if you guys have any questions, you can add them in the chat. Okay, we're gonna drink my cold tea. I knew that I'd be a little too chatty with these questions. Were so good, you guys. They're both, I don't know if we could even fit in any more questions. All right, so we have this Sagittarius tea from, apparently I can't pour and talk at the same time. We're worried about spilling it. So the Sagittarius tea from Club Magic Hour Tea, who I have partnered with, who I will also link below. They have it for all of the zodiac signs, plus so many other things. And this one is, of course, rooted in Sagittarian energy, and it's a tea to facilitate good fortune and abundance. And what else did she say here? Something else. Good fortune, abundance, and like a bold vision. That's right. And that is what this moon is all about. Having faith in yourself to take these giant leaps forward, these like bold, grandiose vision that things are going to work out and that there's abundance on the horizon and good fortune is yours, right? I'm going to put a little bit of this whipped honey in here that I got at a market. It's like infused with all kinds of herbs. There were so many, I can't even remember. I'm going to add that in there. And then we are going to read the little Sagittarius poem and the mantra as I stir this, and then I will drink it at the end. And maybe there'll be some little bits left and I can read the tea leaves. I got some fancy teacups for this new podcast. I've got this one from Killstar, which is a zodiac cup and saucer. And then I also got the like traditional tea leaf reading cup, the Cup of Destiny, which comes with a book. So we're gonna bounce back and forth, but at the end of each of these, I'm gonna attempt to read the tea leaves. I've never done this before, you guys, so don't grain of fucking salt. I figured this wouldn't be that hard because we're just reading it like an astrology wheel, which I know, but those have like all different kinds of other symbols that we're gonna learn together. Okay, so where's my mantra? It's on here, right? Mantra. Okay. And if you have tea that you haven't already drank, because it has been an hour and 20 minutes already, you can stir your tea. If you have just water or some sort of drink, you can stir your tea while we say this mantra, and then you can drink it. And then you're harnessing this good Jupiter vibes, right? And so it says, I relax to receive Jupiter's abundant gifts. I relax to receive Jupiter's abundant gifts. And then she also has on the website, and it comes with all of these cards. And it has like all the correspondence for each of the signs, the ruling planet, the element, the like the astral god. So this one they say like Dionysus, the god of wine, the goddess Artemis, colors, stones, flowers, so many different things, essential oils associated with it. And so you can learn a little bit about each of the signs. And then on the back, it tells you the benefits. So this tea induces a joyful mood. It balances blood sugar and it boosts metabolism. And then it has the ingredients and instructions, which I definitely didn't follow the steeping instructions, right? But Sag doesn't follow rules, all right? They laugh in the face of the rules. All right, so we are going to read this poem that she has for each of the signs. This is the Sag one. Then we're going to pull some cards. Okay, I'm going to start while I do it. With unwavering vision, your arrow points towards the truth. Books, so accurate for you guys. I have so many Sag placements. I feel more Sagittarian than Libra because I mean I got a ton of them there. But I'm gonna start over. But yeah, this is on point. With unwavering vision, your arrow points towards the truth. Books line the pathway of your inner journey. You hunger for knowledge and know the secrets of humanity's evolution. Growth and expansion delight and tempt you into the face of danger. Hold on. Growth and expansion delight and tempt you into the face of danger as you crack a joke to lighten the night and bring the dawn. We laugh with you and we cry with you as you share your life and as you share your life transparently for all to learn from. You are a friend to all signs of the zodiac, to the flora and the fauna. Queendom, you bring your jovial sense of oneness. We are grateful for your inclusive reach as you circle humanity with light in your mind's eye. That's good. Okay. Um, I also got this from them. I bought a bunch of these to give as gifts for Christmas. But it's like a stainless steel straw, but it has like a strainer at the bottom so you can drink like loose leaf tea and you don't need anything too fancy. You can just put it straight in the cup and then you don't get all the little bits. And I figured that would be good for a tea leaf reading because I want to keep the leaves in the cup, you know? All right. I do not need this computer anymore. So I'm going to close this. I need my glasses apparently to read that. And we're going to pull some cards. Elizabeth says, sounds good, but I'm already tired. Well, you might want to take a nap before 2026 and try to find ways to recharge because 2026, girl, it's something else. Literally. If I had to summarize 2026 in just a couple of words, I would write it's something else because it's going to be completely different from where we've been. I can tell you that. All right. So this deck, we're working with the Celestial Bodies deck, which is a astrology and numerology deck. I have a lot of different astrology decks. I don't like them. Some of them I don't like the art because it's like very watercolory and it doesn't come across very well on camera. I like them how you can see them in person, but they don't come across on camera very well. And some of them I don't like the book descriptions because you can tell the person was not an astrologer. But this one, not only is it very cosmic, like look, this is the front of the cards. Like, come on, this is so me, right? And then it has the holographic sides, beautiful. The cards themselves are so cosmic and gorgeous. I love them. but the descriptions are also really good, which I am liking. I've been working with this deck. Usually I use like astrology decks and then I don't use the book. I just use them to dive deeper into like a client's chart, see like, is there anything maybe I missed? And I'll like pull from an astrology deck, it'll be like, oh, the North Node. And I'll look, oh yeah, that is like majorly aspected. We should talk about that. I also have like astrology dice that I use the same way, but I've never really vibed much with the books too much. But this one I really like. I've really been enjoying this. And Tarot Stack did publish this one. So if you guys are interested in it, you can use my link, which isn't here yet. But if you go and look at the article I wrote on gifts, it is there. Or maybe when I save this, I'll let me do a description and I'll put it there. It'll save you 10%. They helped publish this one. There's all kinds of independent decks over there that are just absolutely gorgeous. This is the mini version, but look how big it is. It's huge. And then they have like an altar version, which has like a bigger box. I got the mini one because I'm going to bring it to markets. And it comes with like a 2-volume mini guidebook. The big one comes with like a big book. But this one, the cards are huge already. Mini version definitely works for me. And then we'll pull maybe from some other decks. Let's see. All right. So maybe we'll pull card for this moon. And then do some 2026 too. So this is like how I pull cards. I always shuffle. I don't use the cards that jump out because normally I'm shuffling the archetypes deck which is circular and should be flying out left and right. I'd be reading too many cards. I don't read the ones that jump out unless it's like super clear one card jumps out and you're like, okay, that was obviously the card. I shuffle them and then it's probably my Libra placements or maybe a little bit of my Tism, but I make sure that it's like all aligned perfectly, like super perfectly, because I'm like, okay, give me the card that's going to help me find the alignment that I need. And so I make sure everything is perfect, and then I cut the deck. And then that's the card. Okay, 6th house. We're going to pull one more for this moon. The card that came out is 6th house, which, okay, that one came out. We'll use that. On 2nd house. All right, so we got 2 of the house placements here. All right, so 6th house and the 2nd house. The 6th house, the first thing that came to mind is that Virgo South Node. All right, so we have the nodes changing signs next year. And right now we have the South Node in Virgo, which traditionally governs the 6th house, which has a lot to do with health and diet and service and duty and responsibility. Here is the card. Oh, I hope this looks as clear on your guys' end as it does here, because I'm using my phone and the video looks pretty nice and it hasn't been glitchy. Has it been glitchy for you guys at all? Beautiful. It never comes across good on my webcam. So we're going to read from the book because I'm still kind of learning the symbolism that they're using here. And she does do a little bit of description about that. But what I am seeing here is a lot of animals and a lot of plants. And Virgo is associated with pets, animals, and plants. And a lot of the South Node themes that this Virgo South Node has been bringing up for people is not just like their own health and a connection to, nutrition. I'm since the South Node has moved into Virgo, I'm like working with several herbs to like try to balance my hormones. So Virgo, right? But I'm also seeing with my clients a lot of issues with not just like their own health that they have to address, but like the healths of their pets. And then, of course, it has a connection to earthly themes like plants and animals. But we're going to read this from the book. It's so beautiful. Oh my gosh. I'm interested to see what they say about all this symbolism here. But I see a frog and an owl, which of course has to do with wisdom. She says, beautiful video and has been very clear. No glitches. Yes. Okay. And then we also have the 2nd house. So, Jupiter, Sagittarius governs the 9th house, but it's traditionally ruled by Jupiter. And the 2nd house is the house of like finances, resources, possessions, safety, security, and self-worth. And Jupiter is associated with abundance, right? Making sure that we have this like abundant supply of that which we need so that we can feel happy and joyful and able to expand our horizons. And the second house is really that foundation. Um, Jupiter themes can help us to facilitate bounty. And where we would really like that, I mean, I have Jupiter retrograde. My bounty is always like internal wisdom and expansion. It's not usually monetary, but a lot of times we'd want that bounty in the second house, right? These are our finances, but it's also our self-worth, you know? How we feel on the inside. Do we feel worthy? And I feel like part of what this moon is asking us to do is to believe in ourselves, believe in our path to success, right? I'm so glad that the audio and the video is good. Let's see how it goes um when we do just the audio on the podcast platforms. I'm loving the symbolism of this card because the moon today is in Sag and it falls in exact conjunction with the galactic center. We talk about this pretty extensively over on Patreon. The galactic center is the black hole at the center of our galaxy. And it has a lot to do with this galactic consciousness, which sits beyond our solar consciousness and it's expansive and it awakens our mind, right? And look at this card. We see the galaxies and it's like flowing into our mind's eye. Like, what? That is so what this moon is about. And I love it so much. There's also a serpent here. Can you see it? It's like a white cobra. And in Sagittarius, we have Ophiuchus, which is the serpent tamer. And it's that serpent that's coiled at the base of our spine that we are trying to awaken and ascend up to activate that pineal gland, which is very symbolic of the pole star, which sits opposite this in the sky. And that serpent we're working to tame is, our unconscious. It is that depth of self. And it helps to awaken that like higher perspective, that higher consciousness. And so even though it's like a second house card, it is very aligned visually with the archetypal dynamics of the specific new moon, especially that galaxy flowing into the mind's eye. We talk about that over on Patreon, but let's see what the books have to say. But first, I am going to drink a little bit of this tea. It does taste like fruitcake. It's really good. All right, so I never know which book things are in. Okay, these are the houses. All right. Let's do the sixth house, which came out first. Okay, it says sixth house, the conscience. Um, Sag also has to do with like morality. All right, so that's in alignment. About the artwork. Okay, let's see what she says. Nature's will to find perfection is never ending. The science behind her methods engendered amazing feats in mathematics and geometry. Here we have some examples of those feats. Some small creatures whose very existence lends itself to that great symbiosis. In the sixth house, I'll put it so you guys can kind of see. In the sixth house, we find labor. This moon is square Saturn, which is the planet of work, effort, hard work, duty, and responsibility. Kind of sixth house. In the sixth house, we find labor. This stage talks to us about the importance of routine, rituals of service to ourselves and to others, and all forms of nurturing through health and wellness. Circadian flow and all that comes from honoring the necessary, measured approach to living. day job, discipline, restriction, responsibility, very Saturnian too. Earth connection also emanates from this house, healing with materials from the earth, like herbs or tea, and a rigorous application of the intellect, very Sag, right? Keywords, the reality principle. We've got that square to Saturn, the Lord of reality. The reality principle, diligence, responsibility, labor, restriction, guilt, conscientiousness, self-discipline, obligation, service, work for its own sake, agriculture, acting on behalf of others, perfectionism, practice, routine, ritual, useful communication, scientific method, down to earth thought, critical thought, observing the law, also very Sagittarian, yielding to the symbolic, that's square to Neptune too, self-criticism, humanitarianism, work, and sacrifice. I'm wondering if any of you have Sag governing either your sixth house or your second house. If you do, I want you to write it in the chat. It says, question, how do you work with your own sense of structure, Saturn? That's a good question to ask us during this moon with a Saturn square. I'm reading it again. How do you work with your own sense of structure? Do you adhere to a rhythm? If so, are you supported by it? There's more, but the reason why, and another reason why I started this podcast with such a rigid structure of like, it's the night of the new and full moon, is because I know I'll do it. Like, that is why my Patreon has always kind of worked out for me. Like, I want to kind of post more on like YouTube and things like that, but I never do because I lack structure. I lack structure. And so I like tying things to like a rigid ritualistic structure like the moons. Like Patreon, I do my new moon, full moon videos, and I always release them a couple days before the moon. And I very rarely miss one. And I only missed one if like something tragic as fuck happened in my life. You guys know, you'll get a little written ditty about whatever horrible traumatic thing I'm currently going through. And that's the only times that I ever miss one of those videos. I need that. I need that rigid structure. I think that this here too will also help give some sort of like rigid structure and insight into, myself, my mind, the year, because it has a framework, a very Saturnian framework, right? And then I wanted to do this podcast, but I didn't want to have just like every Friday or like every whatever, because I'll find a way to not do it. Let me tell you. I have a lot of Virgo placements and they have this perfectionist tendencies that manifest as like crippling procrastination because I'm like, no, I'm not ready. No, it's not perfect. No, I need more time. But when I tie things to some sort of rigid structure, like the moons, then I'll do them because I have no choice. It's time. It's the moon. I have to do it right now. So that's why I chose to do the nights of the new and full moon, because those are already on the calendar and I can't change them. I can't find a reason to change them. And so we will be here. And it's a way for me to honor the moons, to connect with you guys a little bit more, do this little like tea ceremony and like have it as a rigid plan rooted in the calendar that I cannot change. All right, there's a little bit more here, but I'm gonna read this one more time. How do you work with your own sense of structure? Do you adhere to a rhythm? If so, are you supported by it? And this moon with the square to Saturn is really asking us to step into some form of structure. And that structure will help facilitate our expansion and our growth, right? And so find a way to do that. Find a way to step in squares. We have to address the square. And Saturn wants a structure, and it's in Pisces, and so it has these like spiritual undertones about them, right? About it, right? So of course it's like my structure is the moon phases. That'll be when I come and do the thing. You know what I mean? All right. So suggestion. Look to the sign that rules this house for you, and that is the 6th house. Reflect on the influence of this sign, and on your definition of structure, diligence, and responsibility. And then here's a mantra. The You guys, this mantra is so perfect. Okay, this is the mantra. The rhythms of the sun and moon mark my days. Yeah, they do. That is literally what I base my entire structure around is the rhythms of the sun and moon, the new moon and the full moon, especially over here in this podcast. That's fucking hilarious. Oh my God, that's hilarious. These cards I've worked with them a little bit in some of my videos and for my clients, and they've had this like freakish accuracy about them. It's kind of uncanny, but yeah. The rhythms of the sun and moon mark my days. Perfect mantra for a new moon, sun and moon, in a square to Saturn, trying to find that rhythm, trying to find that structure, something that works for you, right? Okay. Okay, we like this. All right, so next is the 2nd house. It's so funny how these house cards that kind of don't really have much to do with Sagittarius still have a lot to do with the Sagittarius themes, particularly the aspect to Saturn. Okay. 2nd house, artwork description. I want to hear what they have to say about this artwork because I am loving it. Look at this. Okay, I'm just going to move this because I'm so afraid I am going to knock this over. I'm trying to get it up there for you guys. All right, the 2nd house, the inner scape of the self, the vibrant amalgam. You guys know I'm so dyslexic. I cannot say words I do not know. Oh, Allie. Yeah. Okay. The vibrant amalgam, like amalgamation, but like the shorter version of that word, that which we call the senses, where vast amounts of prana, chi, life force, like that serpent coming up our spine, meet to produce the way we experience the world. The 5 koshas are depicted here. I am not going to try to say these. They are Vedic words, and I'm going to butcher them, and I am so sorry, and I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that. I'm so sorry. But the 5 koshas, these are stealths or soul layers. They take us from our physical bodies out into the universe at large. And remember, this moon aligns with the galactic center. Talk about the universe at large. It's also conjunct the asteroid Hecate, who's said to hold the key to the cosmos and the depth, right? So she really has the ability to kind of like unlock the like vastness of space for us right now and take us from our physical bodies out into the universe at large and really help funnel that back in to our body. Okay, about this house. The 2nd house is the place of sensory experience. We are born in the 1st house. Then in the 2nd, we are like infants, exploring the world through touch, sight, hearing, smell, taste. More broadly, we extrapolate. She uses some crazy words. I do not know. We extrapolate. Haha, I got it. Oh, Allie, that's so embarrassing. More broadly, we extrapolate to see that the senses give way to physical experience. And this domain pertains to material resources. How we define what is most valuable in our world, objects, possessions, hierarchies, and personal systems of value are all shaped in the 2nd house. 2nd house does have a lot to do with values, and Sag has a lot to do with like morality and what we value in a more like moral or spiritual sense. Keywords: the senses and pleasure principle, hedonism, security, foundational confidence, appetite, taste, beauty experienced as sensory pleasure, what is mine, needs, value, survival, sensation, money, comfort, leisure, assets, and consumption. How do you determine what is valuable to you in this life? Now, this moon is also conjunct Venus, which is the planet that traditionally rules the second house and is associated with values and finances and resources. And so we definitely do see these second house themes coming in right now through Sagittarius, through this like boldness of vision, this expansion into these next chapters of our life. Like Sag is on a quest. Sag is on an adventure. And 2026, which is right around the corner, is that fucking adventure. This is the last new moon before we get to that year of profound change. All right, suggestion. Look to the sign that rules your second house. Libra for me, my sun is there, and reflect on the way the symbolism of that sign is refracted through how you make determinations about value in your life. Mantra. Inside and out, my sensuality is vibrant. Okay. I like how in real time you guys can be like, oh yeah, I can see why she was diagnosed with some learning disabilities. Oh my God, my dyslexia is so bad. It's like my brain cannot sound out words that I do not know. Like it literally freezes and it literally glitches. Like words that I do not commonly see too. Like even if I do know the word, I don't know. My brain just, it can't. It just looks at it and it's like, what? Elizabeth says, cards are beautiful and quality has been good. I'll catch the rest of the replay. Thanks, Allie. Sending love. Oh, you're very welcome. All right. We are going to pull one more card. And then we're going to try to read these tea leaves in here. I have to try to drink this here, though. So supposedly you're like, drink it down till there's like a little bit of liquid left. And then you take the cup, you flip it over on the saucer, and then you read what's left in the saucer. You can also read you read what's left in the cup. You can also read what's on the saucer. This has like the zodiac wheel on there. So we're just going to play around with it. We're not taking this seriously yet. But yeah, I've always wanted to learn to read tea leaves. And so we're going to play around with the zodiac cup, and then we'll also play around with the cup of destiny, which has some other symbols on there. All right, so this is my favorite deck. You can't get this on Tarot Stack. This is from Kim Kranz. If you guys are Patreon members, you've seen me use this deck a million times, so much so that my book is falling apart. This is the Archetypes Guidebook. She actually channeled this deck in 2018, the same time that I was going through like that really profound awakening experience. So I don't know, I have a kinship with this deck. It is my favorite of all the decks. And so we're going to pull an archetype card. And then we will close this out. And then I will see you guys in 2 weeks for the Cancer full moon, where we will have our first magical guest, Amanda, evolutionary astrologer, and we'll be talking about Cancerian themes. So she has a focus on like family astrology. She's also a birth worker. And Cancer is, of course, the sign of the mother and the womb and the family. And so we're going to talk about those themes. We're also going to talk about balancing work and home life, which both her and I have to do because it is a full moon. So the sun will be in Capricorn, the realm of work and career and mission and purpose, but the moon will be in Cancer, the home, the family, our inner world, our family dynamics, ancestral, generational karma and trauma, and the things that we have to kind of really work on in regards to our soul's evolution. It's our inner space, our inner world. And speaking of Amanda, there she is. She says, my baby is saying hi to you. Hi, little one. Your baby's getting big. I don't know if he's a real baby anymore. How old is he now? But yeah, Amanda will be joining me. And what I love so much is that we'll be able to link our Substack. So you guys can find her in her Substack. And yeah, then for the Capricorn new moon, we'll be meeting with Capitolia. She is like a business witch. She's like a business strategist and business marketing manager who specifically helps like witches and mystics and magical folk get seen by embracing their like unique archetype and not trying to like lose their unique voice or their authenticity to like fit into trends or mm, like the vast majority of business marketers are like, use trending audio, do this, do that. She's like, no, be your weird, unique self. And you're the people who resonate with that will find you. And so we're going to talk about her. We're going to talk to her about the business side of being a professional mystic these days, especially when you have to cater to an algorithm and how to kind of get seen without selling your soul, pretty much. So I'm excited to talk with her. And then I have other guests already lined up that I'm very excited for. It's going to be fun. It's going to be so fun. All right, let's pull Architect card. Okay. All right, so the card that I pulled is the Ocean. I think this is reminding me that we are not just, and we talked about this a lot in the Patreon video, but I didn't touch on it here. The Sag moon is, yeah, it's in Sag. It's very fiery. But we have a grand water trine happening right now in the sky. We have Jupiter in Cancer, trine Saturn and Neptune in Pisces, trine Black Moon Lilith at the depths of Scorpio. And so we have this groundwater trine in, of course, the water signs, but then we have Lilith there, which really does bring us down to the depths. It really does bring us down deep into the recesses of said ocean. And, you know, Saturn is sitting in a square to this moon. Jupiter is also aspecting this moon as part of this yod, this finger of God aspect. And so this watery energy is aspecting this fiery moon. And it kind of tells us that in order to expand and rise, like Sag wants to like rise to new heights. In order to do that, we have to like equally dive to the depths. And Lilith is there like, you can't forget about the depths of self. All right. So we'll go ahead and read this from the book. But yeah, we talk about that in my Patreon video. If you're not a Patreon member, this is backwards. What are you waiting for? It is practically free. It is a sliding scale. You can literally pay whatever you want. All of the tiers have access to all of the video content. I do 2 videos a month for the new moon and full moon where I go super, super, super deep into the energy. And like I said, you could pay whatever you want. Ocean, 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 ocean. 133. This is my favorite guidebook ever. Like, she is brilliant. Kim Crayons, I love her. Maybe I'll have her on. Maybe I'll see if she wants to come on the podcast. She's amazing. She's absolutely freaking brilliant. And there's no guidebook out there for any deck that is even remotely close to hers. She is just a mystical genius, and I love her. Okay, Ocean. The unconscious, the depths, the incomprehensible. Remember, Saturn and Neptune are still in Pisces. You know, when they station direct, I've seen a lot of posts about like, we're ending this 14-year cycle of Neptune in Pisces. It has come to an end. And I'm like, what? It doesn't come to an end until they leave Pisces early 2026. They're at 29 degrees. They're at the depths of the fucking chart, as deep into the zodiac as you can get. It's not just like the ocean that like Cancer represents. It is the like cosmic ocean. It's like the archetypal collective unconscious, like the depths of consciousness itself, not just your own, not just your subconscious, not just your own unconscious, but the depths of the collective unconscious. And we've got Saturn and Neptune, the ruling planet of that sign, at 29 degrees. That is a culmination. That is an ending. We are not done yet. This is where everything is integrated. And it revolves around you being able to embrace those depths and not be like, oh, I'm so glad it's over. It's not over yet. I'm sorry. It's not over until they move into the new signs in January and February. Okay? We're culminating long held cycles in the depths of the collective unconscious. This is when the spiritual lesson is learned. Saturn is lessons, Neptune is spirituality. This is where that spiritual wisdom, that spiritual lesson is integrated and we can experience a form of like transcendence. Okay. Glad I pulled this card because I definitely didn't talk about this enough in this video. The unconscious, the depths, the incomprehensible. The power of the ocean is unmatched. To step into its salty waters is to step into the unknown. But its sheer volume, by its sheer volume, the ocean represents the unconscious, all that is beyond our understanding. We cannot live within the ocean. We cannot claim it. We cannot manage it or own it. It rejects our every attempt to dominate nature. Yet amid its overwhelming power, it calls to us, inspires us, and invigorates our life on land. It dissolves the little us into the big us. When the energy of the ocean is present, there is change stirring that is beyond any change. This is 2026. When the energy of the ocean is present, there is change stirring that is beyond any change you've known before. The ego must dissolve. The saline swells work on our very cells, your fibers, your deepest underlining beliefs. Like Aphrodite, we rise from the ocean's froth, a new being. Life is change. Let the waves crash. The ocean displays every emotion without shame. To witness its glassy moonlit surface and its unforgiving storms is to know the full spectrum of the human experience. Study waves, touch their surface, get in the water, no matter where you live. Each drop is part of the whole. The ocean is in every tear, or even a cup of tea. When this card is evolved, it's deeper than deep. It's big dreams and it's discovery. Sag, this moon is all about big dreams, and having faith in your fucking dreams and then doing the work to make your dreams a reality. And Sag is all about discovery. It's going out on a new frontier. It's trekking out on a new quest. It is all about discovery of something new, like me, this platform. I'm like, and it was so easy. It was like the easiest live I've ever set up. I love it. And it's also like the least glitchy. I'd hate to like curse myself and knock on some wood, but so far so good. It's been good. Okay. Deeper than deep, big dreams, discovery. Deeper of deep is that grand water trine we have right now. And then those big dreams and that discovery is so the Sag moon. But when in its lower archetype, this card can represent feeling like you're being drowned or that the energy is like polluted. And we've got that square to Neptune, which is a little foggy, a little smoky. And a little unpredictable on this card. It can be unpredictable in its lower archetype. All right, guys. Those are our cards. I am going to finish this cup of tea and we're going to see if we can read these tea leaves. This is totally new for me. I'm using this because I just feel like it would be easier and I don't have to swallow all these bits. This tea is not very, the Sagittarius one, it's not very like leafy. It is like, I don't know if you guys can see in there. It's like big bits of like dried fruit and things like that, ginger and things like that. So it's like really big chunks and I don't want to swallow that. But we're going to see if we can read these tea leaves. My little fancy straw here. Okay. Oh, that is so good. Maybe I need to drink a little bit more. Just figuring this out live on the internet. Don't mind me. Oh my God, Allie. The next the next podcast will be a lot less unhinged, okay? Because we'll have guests. All right, we're gonna try what they said, which is like Okay. Oh my god, you guys. Okay. So that's hilarious. Okay. So the vast amount of the leaves, the flowers and the leaves literally fell at 29 degrees of Pisces, right where Pisces, can you see this? Like, look, right where Pisces meets Aries, which is where Saturn and Neptune are right now, squaring this moon. That's like the vast amount of them. We also have a little bit over here, right here. Oh, how do I make it so you guys can see? Over here, in Cancer, which is where Jupiter is, aspecting this moon, and they're in a square to each other. So we have Jupiter and Saturn. I wish this was easier for you to see. We have Jupiter and Saturn trining each other right now as part of this grand water trine that we were just talking about. And a lot of people focusing on the fact that Saturn is square this moon and how this can be like challenging. But Saturn is also like the lord of longevity, commitment, and success and structure and stability. And he is harmoniously aspecting Jupiter, the ruling planet of Sag, of this moon, which is all about growth and expansion. And when the two harmoniously aspect each other like they are right now, we can really have this like accelerated period of growth that has this essence of like stability and longevity to it, like growth that can stand the test of time. Like we're building systems and structures that facilitate our growth. And they're working harmoniously in the sky and they're both aspecting this moon. And I think it's just hilarious that like the vast amount of tea leaves are like right there where we have that 29-degree Saturn and Neptune, which, yeah, we got the Sag moon, we got stuff, but the big energy in the sky right now is Saturn and Neptune culminating their long-held transits through Pisces, especially Neptune. It's been in there since 2011. It dipped in 2011, officially moved in 2012. Long-held cycles. Oh my gosh, and I'm realizing, what is this? Where is this at? Okay, that's Virgo. And then on the saucer, the vast amount of things landed over here in Virgo, which is where the south node is right now. And the nodes are being squared by Mercury, which is also in Sagittarius. Mercury, the messenger, is really hearing a message in regards to like our fated destined trajectory, where we've been, where we're going, particularly in regards to, according to the tea leaves, particularly in regards to that south node in Virgo, because we cannot strive successfully for the north node if we do not address the habits, the lessons, the things that need to be shed, the things that need to be alchemized, the things that need to be transmuted where the south node is in Virgo. And so look to see what house Virgo governs for you, because, this is where the eclipses have been, the south node eclipses, and we're really purging a lot from that area. A lot. Look at how much shit is there we need to get out. Like so much. But yeah, this is hilarious. This is the first time I've ever done this. This cup literally came 2 days ago. And I waited to do it here with you guys, but I think I'm a fan. I think I'm a fan of this. This certainly panned out astrologically. I'm excited to play with the Cup of Destiny in the next one, which has other symbols. It has the astrology wheel on the saucer. And it has the planetary glyphs in the cup, but then it also has, it's like random other symbols, like an envelope and three-leaf clover and all this stuff that mean other things. And it comes with a little book, so we'll figure that out together. Already stained my new tablecloth. I bought a tea tray, like a beautiful wood carved tea tray with the tree of life on it, and it was supposed to be here in time, but it got delayed. So I'm like putting everything on top of here and I'm ruining it. This is just fabric, like crushed velvet that I got from the fabric store because I couldn't find a tablecloth that I liked. All right, guys, I will see you and you, Amanda, in 2 weeks for conversation about family, evolutionary astrology, birth work, the mother, the womb, and the depths of self. I'm very excited. Amanda and I, we are always bouncing back and forth in the DMs and the places we go. Oh, the places we go. She is the main reason why I wanted to start this podcast, because our conversations, our voice notes back and forth, sometimes are just like so profound that I'm like, how can I get these out of the DMs? Put them on the internet. Like I've literally even Googled, like, can you do that? Can you save that audio? Because it has been so just, I love bouncing off her. We're going to have her on the podcast at least a couple times a year. And yeah, more tea leaves in our future. All right, guys, thank you so much for being here for this soft launch. Things get serious 2 weeks from now. This has been just me figuring out. Now, wish me luck as I try to figure out how to get this audio onto the streaming platforms. According to Substack, it's supposed to be easy and they're supposed to pretty much do most of it for me. So cross your fingers that I can do this. So far, this has gone off without a hitch. All right, guys, happy new moon. I hope you enjoyed your cup of tea and sitting here with me chatting about astrology. All right, guys, have a good one. Bye. End 5 video.